Right, my beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, let me give you guys my thoughts on the match against Sevilla today. And obviously, we had nothing to play for. The Sanchez Pizjuan is typically a really tricky place to play. I mean, usually Sevilla is a team that has a lot of teeth, especially at home. But we didn't really see that today. I think this was a kind of decaffeinated version of Sevilla. They're not having a very good year. Just to remind you guys of how old I am, I'll just say this anecdotally. I remember going to the Sanchez Pizjuan with some friends back when Sergio Ramos was still playing for Sevilla. Imagine that. And it was against the Galácticos. And I remember he scored an amazing goal from a free kick. But that's how old I am. But another thing, and another little anecdote, if you guys ever hear the anthem, because, as I was watching the match, they showed people singing the anthem. It is one of the most beautiful anthems of all the teams in Spain. It's really beautiful. If you can listen to it and sort of read the translation, the lyrics, really beautiful. But anyway, the Sanchez Pizjuan usually very tricky. I didn't find it that tricky this time around, and they did have plenty of chances, but I just found they were very toothless in the final third. In terms of the lineup, nothing really too surprising. Courtois in goal, Fran on the left, Hausen and Rudiger in the center of defense, Carvajal on the right. And then we had Thiago, Jude, and Tchouaméni in the middle of the pitch, and then Vini, Kylian, and Brahim. And the big question was, if this was going to be kind of a 4-3-3 playing Brahim up on the right, or if it was going to be more of a 4-4-2 and have, Brahim drop a little bit further back. And I think it kind of turned out to be the latter. So this looked to me more like a 4-4-2 during the match. Now, the first half was slightly cagey. We started very slow. I think in the first minutes, Sevilla was on the front foot. They just showed a lot more aggressiveness. I mean, you can tell from the very first minute that they had a lot to play for and we didn't. But it didn't really last. Okay, in the fourth minute, we had a great save by Courtois. Thiago, some of the observations I made, I thought Thiago was very, very mobile, and I noticed him kind of appearing both on the left and the right. This kid covers a huge amount of ground. Brahim was playing in the first few minutes more kind of on the inside. I think in the first few minutes, Jude was very quiet. He eventually grew into the match and I think had a major role. But in the first few minutes, he was kind of quiet. And this was in the minutes when Sevilla was really pushing forward. Sevilla almost scored in the 12th minute. Kylian had a couple of runs on the right, and I noticed that Kylian and Vini did switch on more than one occasion because Kylian had 2 or 3 appearances on the right, and Vini had 2 or 3 appearances on the right, and that's something that I really like to see because since you guys, those that have been following me, you know that I believe very strongly that both of these players are wingers and that they're much more effective on the wings than they are in the middle. So it was very good to kind of see them switch. And then, of course, the goal came in the 14th minute. The goal by Vini. And Kylian, did a good job of controlling the ball. Now, I want to tell you guys this. Now, of course, there was an elbow. One of the defenders caught Kylian's elbow. And I want to tell you guys this. And I'm telling you this. And I would bet, my left testicle and possibly my right testicle that if La Liga were still in play, if La Liga were still in play, they would have called a foul on Kylian with that elbow to the defender. I'm 100% sure of this. You have to trust me when I tell you this. But they let it go because it's very funny that when the Liga is already over and Barca's already won it, all of a sudden we start getting calls. If you remember last year, all of a sudden we start getting red cards against our rivals. Like this always happens. So they like to smooth things over when there's nothing to play for. But you have to believe me. And I was texting with my uncle at the time. And I texted him, I'm like, I'll bet you they would have called a foul on Kylian if the league was still in play. And he texted back, he goes, that's exactly what I was thinking. So anyway, all right. After the goal, we definitely started we looked more in control. Our possession started to look longer. We started recovering the ball more quickly. Jude started to become a lot more active in the latter part of the first half. Sevilla would counterattack occasionally, but they were just very imprecise in the final third. Kylian had a great play on the left in the 38th minute, and he kind of curled the ball. That would have been a really beautiful goal to the second post. I found that we did one thing I noticed in the first half is that we did a very good job of backtracking. So when Sevilla would recover the ball and they would come on the counter, we were very quick to backtrack. I thought we did a very good job of backtracking. We were very speedy and we were very quick to outnumber them, to get men behind the ball. So I thought that we defended the counters pretty well. Okay, the second half was a much more open match. It was much more back and forth. I think it was a lot more entertaining to watch. In terms of sort of observations I made, Thiago, I thought, had an excellent match, and I'm going to repeat it again. This kid, he covers a lot of ground. He covers a huge amount of ground. Like he recovers balls in the back, but he participates in attack. He's good in transition. He even alternates, like you see him appear in different parts of the pitch. He runs a lot. This kid really runs a lot. Okay, in the 50th minute, we had a great recovery by Tchouaméni in a dangerous area, and he had a lovely give and go with Kylian, and he almost scored. We looked very much in control in the first few minutes of the second half. Thiago recovered a ton of balls. This is another thing I wrote down. And then after about the 55th minute, Sevilla started to push up, and they had a few minutes where they were really kind of pushing up. Vini had a couple of one-on-ones that, he was very active in the match, and I thought he had a good match. But, just a little unlucky and a little bit imprecise in some of the 1v1s. But he did have I think a pretty good match. Like I say, the second half was much more open, much more back and forth. In the 58th minute, we had a really cool 1-2 between Jude and Kylian. And Kylian had a run on the right side that, he took too long to shoot. He held the ball too long to shoot, and a defender finally came up from behind him. But the run he made, he shows you his speed. He is so quick. And I know that Kylian pisses us off and he mouths off. And you guys that follow me know that his attitude has really pissed me off lately. But man, he's a hell of a player, and he gave us glimpses in this match of just his quality, because he's just a magnificent player. And I know he pisses us off, and we have a lot of reasons to be pissed off, but he is a really, really good player, and he showed us glimpses of it today, even though he didn't score. Okay. In the 62nd minute, another great chance by Sevilla, and a very good recovery in that case by Howson, right in the nick of time. But like I say, this was very, very back and forth. Kylian had an opportunity in the 67th minute, but the shot went high. I think the ball kind of got to him a little bit quickly. So he kind of scuffed it from below. Okay, in the 69th minute, Camavinga and Mastantuono came in. Thiago and Tchouaméni came out. We had a double chance in the 71st minute. We looked a lot more dangerous. When we got to the final third, we looked a lot more dangerous than they did. And yeah, we only scored one goal, but we just looked a lot more dangerous than Sevilla. I found Sevilla very kind of, very, very muted up front. They just seemed very toothless for some reason. But we had a double chance there, and this was a great ball. Jude to Vini, a fantastic pass from Jude to Vini. Vini, a great pass to Mastantuono. Then Mastantuono curls the ball, hits the post. Then Vini gets the rebound, and had a great opportunity shot, but shot it wide. But like I say, we looked a lot more dangerous in the final third, even though we only scored one goal than they did. By the way, Tchouaméni went into the dressing room. I hope he's not injured, but they were commenting on TV that instead of sitting on the bench, he kind of went straight to the dressing room, and usually that indicates some kind of a physical thing. In the 73rd minute, you had the goal by Kylian with a wonderful combination up front, but of course it was called offsides, and it was offsides, but it was really nice combination play up front, which I really like to see. The quality of our players is there. Like you can tell that the individual quality is extraordinary, and when they do click and they combine well up front, it's a really beautiful thing to see. There were a lot of really quick 1-2s, quick give and goes, and if this team gets, if Mourinho can manage, and we're all assuming Mourinho's coming, if he can get them to really play well together and to play instinctively, these players are, in terms of quality, they're just fantastic, and we saw glimpses of it today. Okay. The rest of the match was kind of Sevilla trying to push forward, but kind of, not really able to bite in the final third. In the 76th minute, Vini and Brahim came out, Gonzalo and Trent came in. And in the last few minutes, sort of Sevilla was kind of trying desperately. And the match finished with a great save by Courtois, who, not a match goes by that he doesn't give you at least one or two sort of miracle saves. And he saved the one here for the last minute. But look, in terms of the match, I'd say this was an okay match. This was kind of like it felt to me more comfortable than, Sevilla had chances, but I don't know. I never felt that we were kind of in danger in this match for some reason. It looked a little bit comfortable to me, hence the title and the thumbnail. So I think it just felt more comfortable than, your typical visit to the Sanchez Pizjuan. It's usually a really tricky place to play. In terms of players, I think Vini had a good game, very active. A little bit, some of the 1v1s didn't work, but he was really active, and this is what you like. Vini he just tries over and over and over, and eventually, one of these goes through, and he's very active. What you want from Vini is to participate and to be incisive. And he's always kind of a pain in the ass for defenders because he's so aggressive. He's always taking people on. So I thought he had a good match. Had a few opportunities he could have done more with, but I think he overall had a good match. Jude started very slow, but I think really grew into the match. I think after about the 15th, 20th minute, he really made a difference. He got a lot better as the game went on. Thiago, as I mentioned, I think is a really dynamic player. He runs a lot, covers a huge amount of ground. I think this kid is really, really good. I would keep him around for sure. He defends, he recovers, he's good in transition, like everything I mentioned earlier. Tchouaméni, I thought, was very solid. He's been solid all year. I thought Rudiger and Hausen were decent. I thought the whole defensive line played a really reasonable match. I mean, they were kind of there in the nick of time to sort of stifle the Sevilla attacks. I thought the defensive line was okay. Kylian showed us, like I say, he didn't score, but he showed us glimpses of this quality that he has. I mean, it's just he's an amazing player. I mean, I'm pissed off at him, but he's an amazing player. And if we can get these guys to settle down, to calm down, and to play in a system consistently, and to shut their mouths, I think next season could be really positive. So anyway, that's kind of what I thought about the match. Now look, the Mourinho thing. A lot of you guys are speculating, but I'm telling you, knowing what I know about the club is not going to announce anything until the Liga is officially over, because here it is considered highly disrespectful to make any formal announcement of a new manager while the existing manager is fulfilling his professional function and while the Liga is still technically active. So I'm telling you, it would be a massive departure from Real Madrid tradition for them to announce anything until the season is over. So hold your breath. We all expect Mourinho to come, but they're not going to say anything until after the Athletic de Bilbao match. One final thing to comment is that in the press conference with Arbeloa, the way he was speaking sort of highly of Mourinho when they asked him about him, and he's so classy, but it did sort of sound, his press conferences are increasingly sounding like goodbyes. So, it's kind of sad to see, because I think that, he put on a brave face and he did what he could in the situation that he inherited. I mean, he inherited a really difficult situation with some pretty difficult players. And I think that we need a very firm stick and a very heavy hand in that dressing room. And I think that Florentino needs to give Mourinho 100% discretion to do whatever the hell he wants. And if he needs to sit Kylian, he sits Kylian. If he needs to sit Vini, sit Jude, sit whoever the hell you want. But what we need back in the dressing room is decorum, is professionalism, mutual respect, camaraderie, and professionalism. We need to stop the talking and stop the fighting. And I think that Mourinho needs to come in with a very heavy hand, make it absolutely clear to everybody who the hell is in charge. And Florentino has to transfer and delegate that power to Mourinho and stop getting involved in the day-to-day. Okay, because Florentino views the players as assets, okay? Because Florentino's a financial guy. He views everything through the financial lens. So for him, the players he described them as children the other day in an interview. That's not true. He sees them as assets, financial assets, okay? He likes to buy them cheap and sell them high, okay? He sees them as assets that are very valuable. So he doesn't like to see a valuable asset on the bench, because it depreciates, it devalues the value of the asset. So this is kind of the way he thinks. But what he needs to do is to stop getting involved in the day-to-day management of the squad and to let the manager do his job. And if he does, with the quality of players that we have, we need to reinforce the defensive line, absolutely, and desperately. But other than that, I think we have plenty of talent in the midfield, and Nico Paz is coming back. We have tons of firepower up front, and Enrique is coming back. Honestly, and people talk about Olise and all this stuff. I mean, the last thing we need is another winger, okay? We got wingers coming out of our nose. Like, what we need is to reinforce the defensive line and add structure and discipline to the squad. That is what we need. But from the mid to the front, we have plenty of talent. Okay, those are my thoughts. So thanks for joining me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Thanks for joining me always. I love you guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, a la Madrid.